Welcome to this video in the Kofax transformation series. My name is Jesper Scherpenhuizen, and today I want to introduce you to the wonderful world of data extraction from structured, unstructured and semi-structured content. So this will not be a full explanation of all data extraction capabilities within Kofax transformation. Today I just want to introduce you, well, what's possible, how you can start, and typically just, well, how easy it can be. And more specifically, before we really dive into the how to do this, that, and that, I want to talk to you about some of the trends that we've identified in 2020, and more specifically, the trends that Gartner has identified. So, as you know, Kofax, the intelligent automation platform that we go to market with, is meant for organizations to achieve hyperautomation, which is, of course, the number one trend for 2020. But what people typically don't know is that the democratization of intelligent automation, and more specifically AI, is the number 3 trend on that same list. And in line with that trend, since the release of Kofax Total Agility 7.8, we are now including quick capture. And quick capture is essentially meant to achieve that end state of democratization, making sure that citizen developers are able to build their own transformation projects. And keep in mind, this is the first version, so I'm just going to show you what we can do today and then how we can use that as a springboard to, well, truly achieve hyperautomation along the way. So without further ado, let's dive in. Let's open up Kofax Quick Capture. Here we go. So the first thing you're going to notice is that this is a web application, so we don't need to install a Windows client. This is just HTML5 and we can create a new solution. So let's call that solution YouTube demo. And still I need to learn how to type apparently. And the first thing that's going to ask us is, okay, which document types do you want to have in this solution? So that will be used for classification. So I can say, well, I want to have the first one is sales order confirmations, and we can immediately upload some of the samples for that to train the classification model. So I have 3 samples here, which is of course not enough for a real world example, but in the interest of this demo, that's fine. And then we also want to add another document type, but specifically to show how classification works from an extraction standpoint, we're going to be focusing on the SOC. So I'm going to use a German Freistellungsaufgabe. There you go. And we can indeed, again, upload some samples for that. Here you go. Bum, 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 bum. And we can train the classification model. So just imagine how long it took in the transformation designer to do this, and now it's just a couple of seconds. So that's classification, document types. Next up is field extraction. So keep in mind, for those of you who have experience with Kofax transformation, the first version of Quick Capture only supports trainable group locators. So we can immediately start dragging fields there and say, well, that's a purchase order number. Here we have the tax amount. There we have the PO date. And there we have a reference. So fairly straightforward. We can then immediately transition into, okay, what's the workflow for this process? How do we want that to look? And let's say we want to include validation, and we want to include downloading the actual content and data that we have there. So we can then save that and publish that. It's going to take a while, and close it. So what I'm then going to do is I'm just going to open the workspace and just going to submit another sales order confirmation that I have to this system. So the capture solution, now we have a form there for the YouTube demo. Just click that and I can just run the import. So I'm going to import this sales order and I'm going to create a job for that. So what's now happening in the background is this document is first classified as being a sales order confirmation document, and after that it's going to be using the assisted machine learning that I've just done in order to find the actual data points that I'm interested in. And once it's done that, it's going to show us that in a validation screen. And of course, I've now made sure that we always get a validation screen, but typically you just want to have a validation screen only if the system was not confident enough of an extracted value. So the first thing this is going to show us is saying, well, we have everything extracted. Do you want to continue on? I'm just going to click no for now and just show you how we've been able to extract these data points. And this is of course a great start for an extraction project. This is a springboard. But the next thing we want to do is we want to focus on, let's say, the tables there, because we have a plethora of locators available to us in Kovacs Transformation, which we can now use if we want to expand upon this. So the scenario here typically is a business user within a business department has a need for data extraction from structured, unstructured, semi-structured content, you name it. They are then able to start that with quick capture and then maybe hand it over to a center of excellence, a platform team, power users, whatever way you want to call them, and they can then use the transformation designer to go a step further and really apply all the capabilities that we have in that AI workbench. So let me just finish this up. Yeah, there you go. And then we're able to download a zip file containing the image and extracted data. So I'm just going to complete that. So next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up the transformation designer, and I'm going to open the project that the citizen developer just built in quick capture. So open that project, expand that, YouTube demo. There you go. And here we have the project. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to open up a test set, and I'm going to show you, and for those of you who've seen some of my other videos, we can actually just say, well, okay, well, let's extract all the information there, and then after that we can classify them. And as you can see, even though we had a limited number of samples, the classification confidence is quite high, 99.8 and 97%. Absolutely beautiful. But the next thing I want to do is I want to say, well, have we been able to extract the actual data from this SOC? So let's extract that. There you go. There you have it. So those are the first 4 fields that we've been able to find. And if you then look at the actual extraction results, you see that we have a 90% confidence rate, which is quite normal when you use trainable group locators. But there are, as I said, a plethora of other locators that you can use. So for instance, the PO number here, it might be that we know it will always start with PO dash and then an X amount of numbers. So why not use that and make this system a bit more intelligent? So let's say we have a format locator for the PO. So we have the format locator, and let's configure that real quickly. And I'm just going to use a simple expression for that. So it's now already using 1 to 5 digits. If you test that, you're going to see a lot of things coming in, but we know a lot more about that. We know it's always going to start with PO dash. And if you then test that, it's only going to have 1 hit specifically on the PO number there. So we now have an alternative for the PO recognition, and we can then say, well, we can use evaluators to use both results and see what the best one is, but we can actually just change this. I want you to use the format locator for that. Then the other thing is, of course, the actual table that we have there. So we want to extract the quantity, the unit, description, unit price, and amount. And what we want to do for that is we want to use a table locator. And let's configure the table locator. The first thing we need to do is we need to create a table model, which means as much as we need to create something where we can store all this information. So we have the quantity, we have the unit. We have the description. We have the unit price. And we have the amount. And then we can actually create the model itself. And let's call that line items. And in that line items, we have the quantity, the unit, description, unit price, and the amount. Fairly straightforward. And we can then use that immediately. And then to actually work with this, I'm actually just going to select the first line there. So there you go. That's the first line. And then to identify the cells, we're just going to say, well, that's the quantity. This is the unit. This is the description. There you go. This is the unit price. And this is the total amount. And one thing you can also do is just test that and make sure that we have all of the extracted information, and this looks absolutely perfect. And we also want to add a table to that containing the line items based on the table locator that we have there as well. So again, let's extract that. And we have everything that we want. All of the information extracted. Absolutely beautiful. And that in under 15 minutes. So what did we actually do? So you first saw me go into Quick Capture as a citizen developer and start to build that very first basis for a data extraction and classification model. It was extremely easy for me to do. I didn't need to install anything. It was just a web experience that I could do. I had to upload some samples. I can just drag and drop into that. Extremely straightforward. And I can then immediately use that for data extraction, for data classification. And if I want to have any more advanced options in my project, I can then hand it over to someone within our COE or a power user who can then open that project up in the AI workbench, the transformation designer. They can then add additional capabilities, and we've seen how easy it is even for a power user to build table extraction, line item, you name it, and that in under 15 minutes. If you have any questions about this, or if you want to see more of these locators and how we can apply them, reach out to me via email, via LinkedIn, or directly through YouTube. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for your time. Take care. Hope to see you next time.